Y'all remember when I told the story about that guy who had like 27 ghosts inside of him? I just got a story from a lady who was possessed by 179 spirits. Don't know if you want to watch this one at night, but spooky story time. The person who submitted the story, will call her Scorpio. So Scorpio said that her aunt was in a relationship with this man, but the man's mother didn't like her, so she kept making things very difficult for her. Her aunt always wanted a baby. However, due to complications as a child, back when she was 17, one of her ovaries had to be taken out. It was really difficult for her during that year to bear a child, and she had a miscarriage, unfortunately. And after the miscarriage, the aunt started to feel like maybe somebody's working Obia on her. So she went to a spiritual mother for a bath, hoping to cleanse herself. But things just got worse. So a few weeks after the bath, during the night, she went into her grandmother's house. Her grandmother thought she was behaving kind of strange, so her grandmother asked her to take a bath. And Auntie refused. But then a few minutes later, she winded up going to take the bath. Then her grandmother asked her to eat. She refused. Scorpio says her other aunt, who at the time was a minor, was also staying at the grandmother's house. Scorpio says that the following day, her youngest aunt was woken up by her grandmother and her other aunt screaming. So the youngest aunt went into the grandmother's room and saw her sister pulling her mother's hair. So the older aunt attacking Scorpio's grandmother. And as she's pulling the grandmother's hair, she is screaming at her. She's telling her, "Say I love Judah." She's like forcing her as she's physically attacking her. "Say I love Judah." And out of fear, her grandmother would just say it, "I love Judah, I love Judah." And after the aunt got the answer she was looking for, she let her grandmother go. So grandmother turns to the younger aunt and tell her to go fill up some water. But for whatever reason, the older aunt did not like that idea. So while the youngest aunt is by the tank filling up the water, from the back, her sister ran up on her and attacked her. And fair enough, started screaming the same thing, "Say I love Judah." But the younger aunt couldn't say anything because she was being choked aggressively. The youngest aunt said that she tried to say it's just that she could not breathe. So while she's being attacked and choked, she's like kicking and like trying to punch, but she can't get a word out. She said at the time she was just a child, and it was so scary because her sister, who was on top of her attacking her, says that her voice sounded a little bit deeper than usual. A lot deeper than usual. It actually didn't sound like her sister's voice at all. It sounded like it was more than one voices talking at the same time. A lot of men tried to pull the older aunt off of the younger aunt, but nobody was able to get that girl off of her, except for this well-respected, known spiritual man. He lived in the village and he was well into his years. After he pulled her off, grandmother had to perform CPR on the younger aunt and rushed her to the hospital, where she suffered minor injuries. She had an injury to her throat, skin on her throat as well was bruised, and pieces of skin on her nose was bitten off. They caught the older aunt and sent her to a psychiatric ward. However, the grandmother knew that this was not an actual mental health problem. So the grandmother reached out to a spiritual mother that she knew and trusted and asked for help. And this spiritual mother was one of the Orisha faith. After her aunt showed signs of recovery, which was about a month after the whole incident happened, she was then taken to the spiritual mother for a bath. Obviously, her aunt, the one that was attacked, was very uncomfortable there, and immediately after the bath, she dipped. Her grandmother was a bit worried. However, the spiritual mother told her not to worry because the spirits would take care of whatever was going on with the aunt. And she mentioned to the grandmother that her aunt had a legion of 179 spirits inside of her. And that lesion didn't go away easily either. It was very visible whenever they were present. Her stomach would swell as if she was 3 to 4 months pregnant. But eventually, they left. All 179 of them. Wow, thank you so much for submitting that story. If you have another spooky story that you'd like me to tell, please feel free to submit them. You can just go ahead and send me a message on TikTok. I'll probably see it at some point. And if you're a fan of the dark and mysterious stories, make sure you follow me here on this app for more of these spooky stories. And if you want more, make sure you head over to my YouTube channel. I have longer and better stories there. Anyway, my abducted humans, I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next spooky story.